Hello everybody, I am Insomniac, and today for you guys I have a damage optimization, tech and myth busting video, so let's get right into this. First we're gonna talk about some more optimal punishes that I didn't know at the time of making the Shinobi guide. So first of all we're gonna talk about his deflect punish. As you can see on screen, he gets a deflect into ranged heavy, but in order for you to get the ranged heavy attack you have to switch guard stances from the direction of the attack you deflected, because if you don't, your opponent is going to be able to block that ranged heavy. So if I deflect a top attack, I get a side ranged heavy, and if I deflect one of the two sides, I get the other side ranged heavy plus the top ranged heavy as well. Now onto his light parry punish. And previously I thought that was either a direct heavy into light combo for 38 damage, but it actually turns out that you can get your ranged guard break for your sickle rain chain after that as well, which deals something around 53 damage, which is absolutely insane. And if you combine those two punishes, you will be able to do either 50 or 53 damage on every single punish. If you deflect a heavy attack, you get 50 damage for 25 bleed plus 25 damage for your ranged heavy, and if you parry a light attack into your sickle rain chain, that's 35 damage for your initial heavy and another 6 for each and every light attack after that. If you want to get your ranged grab on a light attack parry, you first have to press heavy for the parry, then release heavy and then hold it down again so that you go into your ranged mode, and then press guard break as fast as you can, because the window for you to get this guard break is actually very short. However, with enough practice you can get this punish consistently. And the new tech that was discovered for Shinobi is that you can get something called the quad dodge. The way you do it is simple. You double dodge, hold down heavy, double dodge into something else, and that's basically the way you do your quad dodges. And now we're gonna move on to Kensei. So I only have one new punish to show you for Kensei, but it's actually a really good one. If your opponent is out of stamina, you throw them forwards, you chain that throw into a side light for 25 damage, and you recover fast enough to get a top heavy after the side light for an additional 30 damage for a total of 55. Now you can see that that's only 10 more damage than the unblockable, and it's also quite the bit harder to get, as this only works on throwing the opponent forwards, and it depends on your terrain, as if you throw your opponent up a hill or up some stairs, the light will whiff and they will get up fast enough so that you don't get your top heavy after that. And if you're too close to a wall and you do the side light will bounce off the wall and you don't get that side light hit. However, you can still get your top heavy after that for then 30 damage. It's quite hard to pull off, but it is worth it for the 10 additional damage. And now onto the character that I have spent a lot of time on, discovering a lot of cool stuff, Shugoki. So when it came to Shugoki, I wanted to know if I could make my unblockable safe if I throw my opponent on the floor, because I knew that if I charge it immediately, my opponent is able to guard break me right after the hit and then punish me for it. And that cost me to lose a few games, so I thought, okay, maybe if I delay it by a certain amount of time, I can make it safe. And you're watching the footage of me actually achieving that. So what I tested was in what direction I have to throw them and then manually delay the unblockable by changing guard stances once, twice, 3 times, 4 times, whatever. And I did a lot of testing on a Kensei, a non-assassin character, and then later on an Orochi, an assassin character. And the results that I found were really interesting, as you can make your unblockable safe in no matter what direction you throw them, but it heavily depends on what character you're playing against. Non-assassin characters are the easiest, as the timing that you have on every throw direction is actually really easy to do. On forward throws, you change guard stances twice, and on your backwards throw, you change guard stances twice as well. On the sidewards throws, you only have to change guard stances once and then charge your unblockable. Now, the most consistent way that I found is throwing my opponent backwards and changing guard stances twice. That worked best for me. And as you were able to see as well, if you do this correctly and you kill your opponent with the unblockable, you get the execution from that. Which is really nice that you do get the execution after getting the unblockable, but besides this, you're gonna have to switch up your timings when you're facing an assassin. Which means that you cannot delay your unblockable as much as on non-assassin characters, because if you do that, then the assassin is going to be able to parry your unblockable, and that's the last thing you want. But the problem here is that you still have to delay your unblockable, because if you don't delay your unblockable at all, the assassin still gets a free guard break on you. And I've tried to find a consistent way of making the unblockable safe on an assassin, and the most consistent thing I found so far is throwing the assassin backwards and then either switch guard stances once or twice. Even though you can get it to work consistently, you have to get that timing of changing guard stances twice down perfectly. If you just mess up a tiny bit and you do it a tiny bit slower than that, then the assassin will be able to parry it. When it comes to the other throw directions, throwing the assassin forward or sideways has some unusual timing properties to that. The sideways throwing to changing guard stances once still works, but the timing for that seems to be very small, so throwing the assassin forwards is also really inconsistent. And again, the most consistent thing I found is throwing the assassin backwards, changing guard stances once or twice, and then doing the unblockable. The next thing that I want to show you is how you can delay your Demon's Embrace by a specific amount of time so that it is supposed to hit every single time when you throw your opponent on the ground. And the secret to that is simple. There are two factors that you have to take into consideration when you have to decide by how much you have to delay your Demon's Embrace if you want to hit it on an opponent who's out of stamina and lying on the floor. First of all, it depends on the character archetype, so whether they are an assassin or not. And then it also depends on how much distance is between you and them, but that second factor is not as important. The easiest way to remember it is you have to throw your opponent on the ground, preferably a forwards throw, and then change guard stances 3 times and immediately go into the Demon's Embrace, and that should work on non-assassin characters. And the last thing that I want to show you today is that I have lifted the secret of Berserker's hidden running animation, and thanks to a lovely subscriber of mine who has left a really in-depth comment on this subject, I was able to test out a few things, and I'm able to confirm and deny some myths surrounding this really cool animation. So the footage you're watching right here is me and one other friend testing out some of those myths. So first of all, shout out to you, Lucas. Thank you so much for helping me discover the secrets of this running animation. We've done a few tests like, does this animation show up when we're far away enough? No, it does not. Does it show up when we backdash? And in fact, yes, it does. Independently of how far away you are from your opponent, if he backdashes and you input forward dash heavy, either when he starts up dashing or when he's almost done dashing, you will trigger this running animation. And the really cool thing about it is you can cancel it by pressing feint. And since you can feint it, you can do any of your other moves after it as well. You can either do a regular light or heavy attack, you can do a jump light or heavy attack again, or you can even cancel it into the zone attack. And if your opponent backdashes again, you can start it up again, and you can do that for as long as you have stamina. The other cool thing about it is that Berserker will keep on running until he is in range to actually do the jump, and then he will jump on you unless you cancel it beforehand. One of the myths was that this animation would prolong the deflect window for top attacks, and I can confirm that is indeed not the case. So yeah, I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope you learned something useful, and if you did, please be so kind and leave the video a rating, as it really helps me out. If you have any questions, leave them down in the comments below. I read all of my comments and I will answer almost every single question. And if you want to see similar videos to this one, be sure to subscribe. But anyways, thank you all so much for watching. Hope I'll see you next time. Take care.